Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Cam and let's talk some stocks. So today in this video we're going to look at some charting for future predictions on some cannabis sector stocks. As you know, they had a very volatile week last week. So we'll look at some different charting things you can do, namely Fibonacci retracements, and maybe draw some patterns. Depends on the chart, but if you don't know what a Fibonacci retracement is, Investopedia has a good breakdown. I'll link this in the description. But they're pretty popular among technical traders. Some people believe in them, some people don't. It's a mixed bag. It's just another indicator like anything else that people can use. Some people believe in them, some people don't. So if you like them or you don't know or you want to try them, this video is for you. If not, then this one's not. You move along. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. There's a ton of ways to make profit, and this is just one indicator that I do like to use. So in technical analysis, a Fibonacci retracement is created by taking two extreme points, usually a peak or a trough, on a stock chart and dividing the vertical distance by key Fibonacci ratios. Once these levels are identified, horizontal lines are drawn used to identify possible support and resistance level. And that's key right there. It's just possible. Everything in the stock market is based on probabilities, and everything's not 100%. There's zero certainty, but they do show areas on a chart that can form or are likely to form aggregate buyers and sellers. So just popular tool traders use to draw support lines, identify resistance levels, place stop loss orders, set target prices. Fibonacci retracements suffer the same drawbacks as other universal trading tools, so they're best used in conjunction of other indicators. So that's an important point too. So you shouldn't just place an order at a Fibonacci level thinking it's going to do a reversal or continuation. You should look for a buy setup in a candlestick, or another indicator, say a moving average is crossing there. So the more indicators you have at one specific area, obviously the better, and more are in your favor for the trade idea that you have. And then you can read about this going down. But so the typical Fibonacci levels are these 23.6, 32.8, 50, 61.8, and 100. TD Ameritrade or Thinkorswim uses a 78.61, and that's just on there. And then they also go over 100%. The next most common one is 161%. TD does a 127, then there's 261, and then 420. So they do go both ways. So if we hop over to Thinkorswim, we'll start with the first chart of THCX, which is the Spinnaker ETF series for cannabis. It's only been around since July 2019, so the chart is pretty small, pretty short. But so typically how I like to do this is I'll take the first high and the first low, going back left, always start going left to right. And so take the low here and then connect it up to that previous high. And it's not going to be exact, especially if I try to get exact here, it'll take forever. And if they're going down, I usually like to make the big down one a red section. And then obviously if you look like left here, you might be like, oh wow, they really hug that line. But obviously it's a lagging indicator, so everything left of like your 100% point is already been drawn. So you really want to use it for future predictions. So looking right, you'd look to buy here, see if it gets above this 78.6 line, pops up, gets a little higher up, and then as you can see, we consolidate around it for a while before it drops again. Then we get a huge green candle that pops up through it. The next candle tries to break through the 61.8, can't do it, pulls back, consolidate again, and then as you see, they kind of weave their way higher off those aggregate zones. And then just for here, for the long one, the previous high that was just set this last week. And then as you can see, they're kind of similar, right? This 38.2 lines up right with that 50. So then you can trim and prune how you would like. But so on the weekly, it's RSI still high. But so let's go down to the daily. Kind of breaks it down a little bit more. And as you see, we really, so if you drew this blue Fibonacci level on Wednesday, right, you'd be looking for pullbacks. You see that it immediately probably sold through the 78.6. We can probably break down to the hourly and look at that as well. But nope, sold off and then went down, sold all the way down to 61.8, and you got a bounce. So could look for some consolidation in this range for the next couple days going into next week. And then just to look at the hourly, we can see if it did on the way down. So no, on the way down, right? So a little touch pullback on that first half hour of the day, and then it sold off, right? But so similar thing happened on Friday on the hourly, right? So here's where you'd have a convergence type deal where you have a moving average and a fib level as a level of support. So this 200 period on a 200 hourly exponential moving average, right, cross right at that point, and you got a bounce. So that would be, you know, a good area where you could place a buy with relative confidence if that's a place or a setup that you like to do. So we'll go look at another cannabis ETF that I didn't know about before last week, and somebody mentioned it in the comments that I had. MSOS, average Advisorshares cannabis ETF. So I believe this is all United U.S. companies, so it's not as, or it doesn't actually, you know, follow the exact same companies as the other one. So it is far less volatile, right? Like Friday is only up 0.5%. But so on this chart, right, I would say this is way too small of a range. So I'll just go right to left here on this one, the previous range. Try to get close. Right, so obviously could sell off more. It looks like it's holding this 9 moving average right now. But say like you had previous fib lines up, maybe use this guy as a previous high to this low, right? And as you can see, right, price is now settling around this 261.8 level. So they aren't like a set in stone indicator forever, right? They're going to change, and some of them are going to be invalidated over time. So it's a trader's job to update them as they go, or if they are constantly following a stock, that kind of deal. So right, so like that one looks pretty good to me. I like it too. And then some people do from the swing high to swing lows. So you can go to that one or this here, 40.3. Right, so it's a little bit lower, but kind of still in this range here. And I'll change the color on it so they're not the same. Right, but there's a lot of variability, and you know, somebody will probably say I'm doing them the wrong or drawing them wrong, but it's whatever you're comfortable with. Really, I mean, obviously the easiest one is from the high to the all-time low, and then in between it's how you feel, or maybe there's a news catalyst that came out this day and that you think that fundamentally changes the chart, so you do it from that point to the next swing high or swing low. So there are variabilities in this. It's not, you know, a static indicator. It's, you know, variable to the trader and what they like. So let's go to Tilray, TLRY. So this is just a 1 year chart. So obviously the high for the last year is 67, the low 243.3. Right, so massive range down here, already pulled back down to this, say, 38.2 area, which is right about, you know, previous consolidation the week before. 22 moving average on the daily is kind of right in that area too, so it could get a look to get a bounce there. And then if you have longer, I'll go all the way back to Tilray's beginning. You had this huge spike up to 300, and if you do the high to low, all-time high to the low here, you know, you kind of get a little bit of magic, as you'll notice when I turn this color so you can see it. Right, so the 78, right, it's been way below that, right about it, but the 78 is actually 66.1, and that's right about the area where the weekly bar, the daily bar, pinned off, right, it hit 67. So, you know, gray area in the zone, especially you're going to have a wiggle room when your range is, you know, from 300 down to 2. So, you know, an error rate of, you know, 1% 5%, right? If you're using like a p-value test or something like that, that's definitely within range. And so if you actually go down daily, you see it right there, right? So pinged it, came back off, and then you can also just look, well, it was above that 77 for that pre-market range. Still, that probably could be within range, because it's not going to just hit the mark exactly and then sell off. There's going to be a gray area where price will, oscillate as it aggregates around a mark. So Tilray right now, I think, if you just go back to daily, right? So we'll look to find some support in this 25, 26 area. It does have earnings on Wednesday, so I'll talk about it again in another video I'll put up on Monday. So that how their earnings go, like they've had some, you just see it right here on the chart, the earnings have caused reactions either way, up and down. So we could get some good news or bad news for the sector this week, and if it's good, it could send the sector back up moving. And then we'll go to Aphria, who Tilray is moving with. So I've already marked this one earlier today, so let's just go all the way about 3 weeks. So it's previous high back in September 2018 when Tilray ran to, down to its low, and then the low to the high this last week. And as you can see, like right, this zero, so if the blue set wasn't there before, as we moved up this last couple weeks, right, so 1686 hit that, made a wick above but closed below, and then the huge volume that came this last week obviously skyrocketed above, but it pulled back, and we're basically sitting right on that level. So is it because of the fib level? Probably not. I mean, realistically, it's just there's volume aggregated here previously, and so the price is going to sit around that volume until it has a reason to break it, i.e. by getting more volume. So but with this here, right, and so we're still way up in the overbought area on the weekly. So I mean, this thing could sell off, then we look for a next area for a bounce, down this 13.5 area, the 38.2 here, the 23.6 here, and you do have 4 weeks where price sat in this range. We'll see it better here on the daily, right? So you get some aggregation here, so maybe we'll fall off a little bit lower, depending on news this next week. So, but I would think this probably trends down a little bit unless they put out some news and Tilray's earnings come out positive. Then we'll go to ACB. Oops, if it doesn't type. We'll go back out to 3-week chart. So similar, back to 2018. The high 150.3 down to 371. So obviously this is still well below the 78.6 range. So this could oscillate higher long term back up. And if you just look on the weekly, the 9 and the 22 are trending up, so this could pull back into the 9 moving average, move lower down here back into 11 as it's curling, right? This could be forming a big cup right here. But so if we draw another, right, because this bar here is still technically higher than that bar, so we still can go left and draw one here. Right in there. So that's kind of given a couple zones right here. So as you see, like this 38.2, we got one wick couldn't touch it, wick got above again, this one obviously went through it too, but each bar closed below that line. And so here this 50 has multiple higher and lower around it, so it could look to go back to this 11.7 range first, or the big resistance I think is probably this 13.5 area where you do have these wicks, so probably need a lot of volume to get through that this next week, so that I think long term and swing trading time, maybe this next couple days, pull back down to this 11.7 as this moving average is going to move up as well to eventually probably run into that area. And then just how it corresponds on the daily, this 50 probably will get up to that 11.7 sometime this week, as you're counting you know, these 19, 18, 12 days and getting rid of these down here in the 3 and the 4. So that's going to make a pretty big swing still. And then we'll go to CGC. Pull out to its weekly. I think that's it. Yeah. Stay on this left side. We'll go $9 to 59. 0.25. So as you see, this has moved up closer to its all-time highs here with CGC. So I mean, if you even look at, probably if you go monthly, just like a chart pattern wise, right? But this is a huge cup, right? And you can say, oh, it pinged off the 9. Well, you do have resistance here long term. Settled in here because you had resistance here, volume back here in the day. And so right about this 40 now where it closed, right on this 38.2 fib level. And you also have a lot of wicks and candles here previously from 2019 where the volume sat for a while. You know what, sat there from February to July. So lots of volume in there that's going to have to move through. And then long term, right, so we're spiking up here on the moving averages, looking to go higher. And the same thing will be happening here on the weekly, right? So got a crossover the 50 to 200, 22. But I think realistically, if this 40 level doesn't hold, probably move quickly back to this $34 area. As you can see here, we're back the week of July 8th, 2019. It sold off quickly from 40 to 34. Could get a similar move like that, as there's really, between this 38 and the 50, you just have long, quick bars, right? Not really consolidation at the lines, but in between, you don't got much. So if this fails, $40 next week could fall quickly to, $34, $35. So that'll be something to look at. I'll definitely be an area that I'll be marking. And then lastly, just last popular stock that's it's popular on Wall Street Bets, Twitter. I think that's as far as the chart goes. Yep, so it's only been around since July 2019, similar time, but 13.2 all the way down to 14 cents. So this, I should do that backwards. If I can get right on it. Boom, there we go. Right, so poked up through $3, $2.94, pulled back, but now we're getting this upward curve from the moving averages. The 50 here starting to curl back up, the 9 and the 22 on the weekly. To go down to the daily, probably get one here, so then we can draw this from 396, 395, close enough. The 14. So closed Friday at 208. I mean, it's right on the 50% retracement. And then also Friday it pinged off the 9-day moving average of $1.78. So it could get probably see some consolidation here in the $2 range. And also, just last week, just massive volume, 2.6 billion, 2.95 billion, far less on Friday, but still, if volume slows down, probably get some sideways action, but I think this stock could be volatile enough if it continues to get pumped to look to go retest, obviously the $25 mark first, but $2.50 mark first, and then go try this longer term 78.6 area up by $3 again. So I think we could get some movement here with the cannabis sector with Tilray's earnings on Wednesday, and then obviously if big news comes out with the federal legalization, now that the impeachment mess is done with, they'll get on to stimulus and then get actually into doing some different reforms for the entire country. So that's one thing that I do on weekends, look at long-term charts and throw some fibs on there, find some area of interest that could be potential buying zones or selling zones. So I hope you got something out of this video, And if you did, please hammer the like and subscribe button. You know, I had a buddy tell me I should start saying hammer the like and the subscribe. Probably should have said that way early in the video. Not many people are going to watch to the 20-minute mark. But I hope you did get something out of this. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.